So, I don't really consider myself a Batman nerd, but I've always liked the character. I watched the first two Nolan movies along with The Batman from 2022. I played the Arkham games many times, but I never beat them because I was a kid and I sucked. So I restarted them an insane amount of times from the beginning. I even dressed up as Batman for Halloween in grade 2.
1 million subs and I'll wear the suit again.
On the Lego side, my first ever Batman movie was the Lego Batman movie. I had a bunch of Batman minifigures and used to be a huge fan of Lego games. These two were my shit. I never played the Lego Batman games though. They always interested me, but I just never got to try them. So when this new one got announced at Gamescom last year, it was intriguing, but I didn't care that much. After all, Lego games were something I enjoyed before I properly developed my taste in video games. I hadn't played one in years. But everything changed when I saw the concept. Arkham style combat and open world, the movies being recreated, all in one Lego package? I was sold immediately. This is the kind of stuff you come up with as a kid when you don't have that many action figures to make stories with. You try to recreate iconic moments by fusing what you have together. To have that with a high budget new video game release is an ingenious concept. Fast forward to release, I watched all the Batman movies, yes, even this one, and I dived into one of my most anticipated games of the year. So did it deliver on its promise? Well, let's get into it. There will be spoilers in this video for the game, along with all the Batman movies. Make sure to tickle that subscribe button. Let's go. So this game handles the story differently to how I imagined. Instead of doing every movie in order, it takes aspects and moments and builds a new continuity using them. For example, the origin of this Batman, as well as the tutorial of the game, is the League of Shadows stuff from Batman Begins. But it doesn't just stop there. This game also intertwines those moments from the movies with new stuff. In this case, you have Talia be your partner on your path to become a member of the League. And I love this. Not only does it allow the developers to get creative instead of just rehashing the movies, but it gives them a second chance on how these moments are handled. There are plenty of examples of this later as well. The prologue is such a good introduction to the world. Before the leak stuff, you have a moment to get to know this Bruce, him rushing around to dress up for the movie he's about to watch with his parents. And this game mechanically is way more advanced than any Lego game I've played. You can sprint, for example. That didn't sound as crazy as it is, but it's pretty crazy. But let's get into the gameplay more. They transitioned the Arkham gameplay pretty damn well into Lego. Sure, it's a little different, like having the ability to jump in combat wasn't in those games, I'm pretty sure. But the fundamentals of those games are still here with counters and all. The open world functions pretty similarly too. There's Riddler puzzles, Batmobiles, and traversal in general is straight out of Arkham. It does take time to unlock some of the capabilities from those games though. I was sad that I couldn't dive down while gliding, but not only did I just not know how to glide down like a dumbass, but also there's this cooler dive that you can unlock as well. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't love the Arkham combat. I just think it's kind of whatever, but it worked very well in the Lego environment. In addition to that, they have their own quirks to the gameplay. One major change is the game being fully co-op. You always have companions with pretty unique abilities, but since this game is made in Unreal Engine 5, how's the performance? Well, I haven't heard great things for PC, but on the PS5 it's pretty decent. There are a noticeable amount of bugs however. Half the time when you interact with something, you just gotta stand around, wait for the game to figure out what to do. Sometimes crimes just didn't appear where they said they were, and my friend told me he fell through the floor on the first day. Continuing with the story, you genuinely befriend Talia as you're learning to fight. As someone who barely knows this lady, the game does a great job at making you care, and when she dies, it's pretty sad. But one thing I don't like is that this game doesn't let death linger. Right after that moment, you have some stupid ass jokes to kill the tension. I get it, it's a Lego game, but death is such an important aspect to these characters. It's a fundamental core of Batman. So when the death of his parents, or someone Bruce has grown to love, doesn't have a lasting impact on me, it just makes the experience worse. Following the prologue though, the game now shifts to being the Batman from 2022, mixed with some Batman Begins moments. Also, this is how I find out batshit white. Chapter 1 took me like 4 hours. These are some hefty chapters and it was a lot of fun. And when you know an iconic moment is about to show up, like the car chase with the penguin, holy shit, it's exciting. I think the beginning of the game definitely takes its time, but I really enjoyed it. The only other aspect from it that felt off to me is that you have Bruce in the League being taken slowly, but then when Bruce comes back to Gotham, he pretty suddenly becomes Batman. He also acts like Batman has existed for years while at the same time repeating to us how he's new to this. Now I hear you, this is some deep analysis for a Lego game and I'm being kinda nitpicky, who cares? And honestly that's kinda true, but when you're combining all these movies together and making the story a major focus, that gives you a direct comparison to a version of of these events we already know, and if the movie versions end up being better, it's hard to ignore. Anyways, the big new addition in this chapter was the Red Hood stuff. This is the Joker's origin, which is pretty cool as an idea. We already get to know him as a villain, then actually create the Joker following the end of chapter 1. Overall, a very solid start with Jim Gordon being a great companion. I really like how each character gets their own way to interact with the world, all getting 2 abilities unique to them. Gordon can ghoul on anything in his path, as well as having this gun thing that bounces everywhere. He's also a really fun character throughout the story. We see him multiple times. Some character abilities are pretty basic, like half of these guys have batarangs, but they all have ways to interact with the environment. For example, Batman can pull items with his grappler along with having the explosive spray, which made me so happy to see. One kind of weird thing is that you can't use the batarangs to break objects while aiming a lot of the time. It just doesn't register a lock on like some random rocks. I'm only bringing this up because I know the older LEGO games used to do that. It's no big deal though. The game has a lot of puzzles too. Most of them are whatever, but I appreciate the variety. And chapter 2 was amazing as well. It's interesting how they handle it all. So you have the Burton era happening right now, but Batman 89 and Returns coexist at the same time, with Catwoman, Penguin, and the Joker all as major characters, but not in order. The Penguin especially feels straight out of Batman Returns. I'm glad they went for this version of the character over the Batman from 2022, because this is easily the more attention-catching one. It also just fits LEGO more. The Joker Parade is the moment I realized I really like this game. Same with the museum. They have a lot of fun with these moments. The iconic moments still occur, but a side effect of this package being what it is can be seen here. Joker doesn't get killed by Batman like in 89 because they gotta reuse him for later, meaning they accidentally avoided an aspect of the movie I didn't like. And Catwoman is
Meow.
oh my god, I never thought I'd be so attracted to a LEGO minifigure, but damn. Highlight of the game for me, honestly. Game of the year even. I'd crack open that minifigure. But actually though, she's pretty important in this game. She basically replaces every scene with love interest from the movie. Like instead of Chase Meridian with you at the circus in chapter 3, it's her now. Ability wise, Catwoman cuts open windows and has her own minigame. One thing I really like about this is that they have open world missions for her that use these. Like you start them by opening up windows. It's pretty cool. She can also whip enemies. I want her to whip me. And summon cats. Like what? Very cool character. I was having so much fun up to this point. But this next chapter is the most frustrating one. Now, I was pretty excited for the Batman Forever chapter because that movie has so much silly shit. It would translate perfectly to LEGO. Think of the possibilities. Jim Carrey Riddler doing his wacky TV dream thingy, recreating this moment of dangling 2 people Bruce loves over their death, Two-Face with his hot girlfriends, Batman's goofy smile. But the circus moment is the only major one that gets added. Where the fuck is Jim Carrey Riddler? I'm shocked they left him out. If I had to bet any villain besides like Joker being in this game, I would have said him. He's the ultimate goofy Batman movie villain. Still, the circus moment itself is great. You meet Robin and actually do the circus performance. You get to save the day against Two-Face as well. But Two-Face just never comes back. They left the Dark Knight version of him out, which is definitely a bold choice. And during the fight, Catwoman just leaves. Like, why aren't you helping Batman? You can literally fight. They could have just said she was fighting like Two-Face's goons on the side. Anyways, when the mission is about to end, the result of that scene in the movie is that Robin's family dies. It hits pretty hard. That builds up his character for the rest of the movie. You know what happened here though? Nothing. They just fall and laugh. Why? You know what makes it worse? Batman just takes in Robin for no fucking reason. He's just like,
Yo, Robin, I'm Bruce Wayne, and you're my sidekick now. Could you help me fight those random guys at the circus?
this pisses me off because the next part in the relationship is the conflict of Batman being a dick to Dick. So he takes in Robin for no reason, then starts treating him like shit. You know what solves this? Literally just following the movie. If Batman reluctantly took in Robin because Robin's family died, where he can't help but think of his own past, then years later becomes ignorant of Robin because he wasn't ready to be there for him, that works great. There was literally no reason to change that, but whatever. To cap it off though, the ending to this chapter for Batman Forever is Poison Ivy. Someone who's not even from the movie. Her fight was pretty cool though. They did something great with that normally mid rendition of the character. I like Robin's moveset too. He can connect ledges, pry stuff open, and his batarangs continue to other targets. I'm not gonna lie though, my excitement for the next chapter couldn't be lower. Not only is it right after I felt most conflicted on the game, but it's also adapting the worst Batman movie, so I just focused on enjoying the gameplay more. The open world was easily what kept me paying attention. Stopping crimes, finding caches, shopping for suits, and upgrading my kit was all done quite well. well. It looks pretty damn good too with the rain and all. Unlocking costumes is so much fun. You can customize them each as well with red bricks. Another thing, they used a lot of iconic scores and songs from the movie. It's funny that Batman Forever had some pretty good representation outside of the story. Kiss from a Rose was used in the game's marketing and credits. That made me pretty happy. The sonar suit and Batmobile are here too. This is easily my definitive Batmobile. It was the one Batmobile toy I had as a kid. By the way, I played this game on the normal difficulty, Caped Crusader, but then I changed it to the hard difficulty, Dark Knight, cause I got a little bored with just mashing one button on normal. I think Dark Knight offers the best experience because it feels like a genuine challenge. Less hearts, more enemies with unique attacks, and limited lives for missions. You can actually get your ass kicked in combat encounters. And I'm not even normally one that just plays games on the hardest difficulty, but in this case it just made the game more fun. Another really cool addition is being able to customize your Batcave. You have all these objects you can place around in designated spots, many of which you can even interact with. You properly build the Batcave from scratch, and that's so great because it makes sense. We're a new Batman in the story. However, there's actually a time skip, which surprised me. I think it's a great choice to have here because it just helps everything make more sense. But looking back at the last chapter, I really tried to convince myself that I expected too much from a LEGO story. Maybe it's okay if the story is mediocre, but I just couldn't accept that way of thinking. LEGO story should be allowed to make me feel something. If mature elements in the story like death are too much, why is Catwoman so horny? Why they include Talia kissing Bruce? Saying it's just LEGO as an excuse for these issues just doesn't sit right with me. Then I realized why. I've already experienced a LEGO story with real emotion before. Not just any LEGO story, it was literally LEGO Batman. The movie. It has one of the most accurate Batman portrayals ever. Now, that movie's goofy as hell with a lot of wacky moments. The end of the movie is literally Super Smash Bros. For every Warner Bros. IP. Despite that though, the movie gets heavy. It shows what loss does to someone, how lonely Bruce is, how he pushes others away so he doesn't get hurt again. And eventually, it has that satisfying payoff to Batman's character. So why can't this LEGO story be good too? Trying to lessen the impact of heavy moments on these characters or outright removing them just sucks. I know LEGO games do this. I remember in LEGO Avengers, Quicksilver's death from Age of Ultron was remade with ice cream as bullets. However, that doesn't really justify it happening here too. I'm not saying the LEGO Batman movie did it better, because it's more nuanced than that. This is a video game mixing up the stories while that's doing its own thing. But the LEGO Batman movie is better. Next we get introduced to Batgirl in a kinda silly way. She got inspired by Batman years ago, then just happened to go to a costume party as Batgirl. Once things go to shit, she starts saving people. Bruce needs her help to do everything in this chapter, which kinda came out of nowhere. I don't like when a character has to look worse to make another one better, but I do think Batgirl's inclusion in general was great. They didn't try to make her the Batgirl from Batman and Robin, which thank God. I adore that she's the LEGO Batman movie model, and her moments with Dick are great too. Her abilities are tech focused, she can create ledges, and her batarangs can be used for a hacking minigame. Hacking can sometimes let her control objects in the world too, which is neat. I should probably mention that the boss fights in this game are pretty damn good. Mr. Freeze here, the penguin on a giant rubber ducky, Ivy's plant dragons, and more later. Lots of good usage from the character abilities. And Nightwing showing up in this chapter was pretty cool as well. The only difference of his is that his weapons are electric. Nothing crazy, but I like that he's here. And man, every time I hear an iconic line or see an iconic scene, it restores some of my faith. I don't want my analysis of this game to be, oh wow, it's from the movies! But there are so many good moments that just made me so happy. Regardless of all that though, I was still feeling kinda lower than before about this game, which is an issue when you know what comes next. Now, The Dark Knight isn't a project that can excuse being represented badly. This is the Batman movie for me and many others. It has so many major moments for the Batman franchise, and the fact that most of them weren't set up, like Rachel not existing at all, or Harvey already being Two-Faced before the Joker messed with him, had me terrified. But I'm sorry for doubting you guys. First of all, you're graced with Heath Ledger Joker as expected. Even just the rendition of him is already intimidating. He's still wacky as hell though. But you get the tumbler, the Joker's driving away, and you or Nightwing are chasing him. They give you a playable Joker car scene, and it's so fucking exciting. You even have the moment of changing it into the motorcycle. I was squealing like a giddy kid on Christmas. Not to mention that right after, Talia comes back out of nowhere to help you catch him. This is when the game is at its best. Taking these beloved moments, adapting them incredibly to be playable, then adding their own twist to elevate the moment. Talia's abilities are easily the coolest. She gets sleep darts as the basic one, but she can teleport anywhere you choose. Going car to car like this to catch the Joker with Talia alone made up for every issue I had before. Even if I kept falling off the car with Batman. Oh, there's a ladder here? The game doesn't calm down yet, because when you go to interrogate Joker, obviously one of the best moments from The Dark Knight, it completely surprised me. You start playing the opening to Batman Arkham Asylum. You have no idea how many times I've replayed this section. Seeing it remade felt like coming home. home. Again, mixing together ideas from legendary projects as a kid, but now that vision has come to life. Plus, walking through Arkham Asylum works so well because you already stop like half of these villains earlier in the game. Not to mention, this is when the game genuinely got me to laugh.
Dead shooter!
I thought his name was Deadshot.
How many times? That's the other guy!
The name's Deathstroke! And when I'm done with you two, you won't forget it in a hurry.
I've been digging a tunnel with this, and the whole time you had a sword? You're the worst, Deadpool!
Ah! It's Deathstroke!
The actual interrogation of Joker was great too. Also, I don't mind the Batman voice, but he sounds like Solid Snake half the time. When he yells, it's so funny, like stick to staying calm, Batman.
Where is he? Where is Bane?
Every once in a while, you feel like this iteration has the mannerisms from the Lego Batman movie.
Excuse me?
Ooh, it's been a while since I spoke Bat.
What surprised me though is that this is really it for The Dark Knight. The major focuses of the story aren't even from the biggest movie in the trilogy. It's from the other two, Begins and Dark Knight Rises. I think that's a pretty fair choice considering those are the easiest to connect into one larger story. They did not half-ass the Nolan trilogy though. You get Scarecrow suddenly giving you the fear toxin while fighting the inmates in Arkham. What a great section. Then you immediately shift into The Dark Knight Rises, the city being in full chaos and all. Easily the best chapter of the game without a doubt. I had basically no complaints and it won me over after my previous doubts.
Frank, do you know her?
I wish.
Me too, man. The final chapter is just one long level packed to the brim with epicness. I don't want to dwell on each moment as much, but this Bane rendition fits Lego so well. The craziest part is that Bane beats Bruce, but Alfred and Catwoman somehow fucked up Bane on their own. And the new Talia stuff is why I love this game's story. Remember what I said about the game adding new ideas to existing moments? That's done the best with The Dark Knight Rises. In the movie, Talia is the real villain and you only find out who she was at the end. By that point, it makes literally no difference and honestly it just makes the movie worse. Here though, Talia has been built up incredibly throughout the game. You become close with her, lose her, reunite with her, then get betrayed by her. They really just fixed The Dark Knight Rises. Isn't that crazy? And they elevated too. Batman needs the help of his new family. After getting absolutely shit on by Bane, he realizes he cares about them all. What timing, Bruce? They all work together to defeat Talia, who unfortunately still doesn't change. That surprised me because they could have easily made this a happily ever after ending. Talia is playable post-game too, so if she just ended up being a good guy and like all chill with the rest of the team, it would have made sense gameplay wise. That's probably the weirdest thing about the gameplay, is that characters are still playable in the open world when they shouldn't be. You have Robin first, but when you progress the story and he becomes Nightwing, you can still play as Robin. It's kinda funny, same with Talia. But honestly, it kinda pisses me off even more that the deaths are worse. If they can make story decisions like this, even when they have a justification not to, why ruin the deaths? Overall, the story is decent. I enjoyed some parts way more than others, but this game really got my interest back by the end. And I'll definitely replay some missions. Final verdict, I think the presentation is top notch. I think that while you don't need to watch the movies to enjoy this, it definitely makes the experience much better. I felt like I walked through every era of this iconic character. This is such an interesting game to me. It's very goofy and it fully embraces that. It has some incredible moments, but also some massive annoyances. And you know what that reminds me of? The old Batman movies. It feels straight out of that era, not being fully accurate to the character, having grand spectacle with mustache twirling villains, still trying to have major character moments despite all that. I love it. This feels like Batman Forever. I would give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10 as a game, but honestly I think giving it a number score doesn't really matter. If you think it'll be fun, you'll probably like it a lot. And I'm sure most people won't be analyzing this as deep as me, but I can say one thing for sure, this game was probably the gateway to make me a Batman nerd. A character that's been in my life all this time has now finally found a deeper place in my heart. Again, I watched every Batman movie for this game. It was the ultimate culmination for everything we've been granted in this series, and honestly, it made me feel like a young chap again. So if you've ever loved Batman, you'll find something for you in this package. Anyways, thanks for watching. Again, tickle that subscribe button and have a good one.
Hey guys, look, it's Zack Snyder's Batman. Get it? Cause he shoots people. Alright, bye.
This is how Batman begins. To dance.
You swing a pretty mean cape, stranger.
Where'd a giant bat learn to dance?
Watch and learn, young people.
Now there's a cop who knows how to be on the beat.
costume's not as good as his pals, but he moves real good.
Time for the big finish, Gordon.
Oh, I wish we had time to rehearse this.